You know that feeling when you buy something and instead of enjoying it, a tight discomfort settles in your chest? Even when the purchase makes sense, even when it's affordable, even when it's something you genuinely need, the relief never comes. Only guilt. If you've ever felt this, you're not irresponsible, immature, or bad with money. You're responding to a psychological pattern built in environments of scarcity. Today, we're breaking down the psychology of people who feel guilty when they spend money. For these individuals, spending isn't neutral. It's emotionally charged. Money leaving their account doesn't register as exchange. It registers as danger, loss, risk. And that reaction has very little to do with the amount spent. The guilt can show up after buying groceries, resting for a day, replacing something broken, or doing something purely enjoyable. What triggers it isn't the expense itself. It's what spending represents internally. In scarcity-driven environments, money is rarely associated with comfort. It's associated with survival. Growing up, spending often came with consequences. Anxiety, arguments, stress. Maybe someone panicked afterward. Maybe there was regret. Maybe enjoyment was followed by fear. Over time, the nervous system learns a powerful association. Pleasure is unsafe. Rest is irresponsible. Spending invites punishment. That conditioning doesn't disappear when income improves. The brain doesn't update automatically. Instead, it carries those emotional rules forward. So even when someone can afford something, their body reacts as if they can't. Guilt becomes automatic, almost reflexive. The purchase is done, but the nervous system stays activated, scanning for consequences that may never come. One important layer here is moralization. Many people who feel guilty spending money attach moral value to restraint. Saving feels virtuous. Spending feels selfish. Rest feels lazy. Enjoyment feels undeserved. This isn't financial wisdom. It's emotional survival disguised as discipline. When resources were limited, restraint kept things from getting worse. But later in life, that same restraint can quietly block joy. There's also the issue of conditional permission. People in this pattern rarely allow themselves to spend freely in the present. Permission is always delayed. After I save more. After things stabilize. After I earn more. But stability becomes a moving target. The condition is never fully met, so guilt remains the default response to spending, regardless of progress. Another factor is emotional responsibility. Many individuals who feel guilty spending money grew up feeling responsible for other people's stability. They learned early that their needs were secondary, that money had to be managed carefully because someone else depended on it. Even years later, the internal rule persists. Spending on oneself can feel like betrayal, as if meeting personal needs puts others at risk, even when no one is actually affected. This guilt often extends beyond money into rest and pleasure. Taking time off feels wrong. Enjoying calm feels suspicious. There's a constant sense that one should be doing something more productive, more responsible, more cautious. The nervous system stays in effort mode. Because in the past, effort was necessary to prevent collapse. Stillness felt unsafe. What makes this pattern particularly difficult is that it's often praised. Society rewards people who are frugal, disciplined, and self-denying. From the outside, these individuals look responsible, mature, in control. But internally, they're often exhausted. Enjoyment never lands. Pleasure is always followed by self-judgment. And money becomes a tool for self-regulation rather than support. The emotional brain doesn't measure affordability the way logic does. It measures threat. If early experiences taught that resources disappear quickly, then any reduction in resources feels dangerous, even small ones, even temporary ones. That's why guilt can feel disproportionate. It's not about the present expense. It's about protecting against a future imagined through past instability. Over time, this can create a disconnected relationship with money. Spending doesn't feel like living. It feels like failing a test. And because guilt doesn't actually improve safety, it just reinforces anxiety. The cycle repeats. Spend, feel guilty, tighten control, delay pleasure, repeat. The key distinction here is between conscious choice and conditioned response. Healthy spending decisions are intentional. Guilt-driven restraint is automatic. One is about values, the other is about fear. And until that fear is acknowledged, no amount of financial improvement will fully remove the guilt. If you feel guilty when you spend money, even on reasonable or necessary things, you're not lacking discipline. You're carrying an emotional imprint shaped by scarcity. That imprint once served a purpose. It helped you survive an environment where resources felt fragile. But survival strategies don't always translate into healthy living. So the real question isn't, should I have spent this? It's, why does my body react as if I did something wrong? Because one is a financial decision. The other is a learned emotional response. And recognizing that difference is the first step toward separating money from self-punishment. If this felt uncomfortably familiar, the next video explores how guilt, scarcity, and self-worth quietly intertwine in ways most people never stop to question. Click it. You'll start seeing your habits differently.